Sponsored FA Cup on Sky Sports.
You could say that maybe the Quakers had one eye on tomorrow's FA Cup replay at Manchester City. Whatever the reason, they missed chances and they were punished when Andy Shelton was left unmarked to head Chester's winner.
And more good news for Peter Reid today. Now Quinn has signed an extension to his contract. He'll be with Sunderland at least until the summer of 2002. Now back to last night, and not so good for Darlington. They took Manchester City to extra time in their FA Cup second round replay. Sadly for the Quakers, that was where it all started to go wrong.
Goalless at Main Road and heading for a penalty shootout, the match boiled over when City's Danny Tiatto chopped down Marco Gabbiadini. The Darlington striker reacted. Tiatto overacted, brought to his knees even though there didn't appear to be too much contact. Referee Barry Knight had seen enough though. Off went Gabbiadini, swiftly followed by the City substitute. The game's only goal finally arrived after an hour and 3/4, but it was well worth waiting for. Michael Brown beating 6 players in all before earning City a third-round shot at Premiership Boys Wimbledon. The Quakers really couldn't have picked anyone worse to put them out of the cup. Brown, you see, was born in Hartlepool, and this was only his second goal in professional football. His only other one, strange but true, it was for Poole against Darlington in the derby match at Feetham's 18 months ago.
Now let's tie up the loose ends from yesterday's transfer news. No big-name visitors at Feetham's, so Christmas shopping won the day as Darlington's lowest crowd of the season saw a neat turn and finish by Marco Gabbiadini provide the first of 4 goals of the afternoon. Goal number 2 was an absolute present, nicely gift-wrapped by Scunthorpe keeper Tim Clark. Teenager John Layer will long remember his first goal for Darlington. The Christmas theme continued. Who turned the lights on this year? Make that who turned them off. Marco reckons he was just about to score as well. Floodlight failure caused a 15-minute delay. When the lights came back on, Darlington defender Phil Brummel was still in the dark. He really didn't want to do that. One present for each side now. Still a cracker to be pulled. Gary Bennett played Santa and delivered all 3 points with his header 2 minutes from the end, 3-1. Ho, ho, ho.
Darlington boss David Hodgson admitted he was absolutely gutted after this result. The Quakers took the lead through a marvellous header from Marco Gabbiadini and looked to be on their way to 3 points against a team battling for promotion. But despite the fact that Orient were outplayed for 90 minutes, they went south with a point. Martin Ling claimed the goal. That's the way it's going for the Quakers at the moment.
Another pitch battle for Darlington at Feetham's. Thousands of gallons of water had to be pumped off the playing surface before referee Roger Fernandez would give the game with Rochdale the go-ahead. Darren Roberts, in for the suspended Marco Gabbiadini, gave the Quakers the lead on the stroke of half-time. Mario Dorner, who'd taken the place of Glenn Naylor, slid in number 2 and was quite pleased about it. Naylor came off the bench with 2 minutes to go and made it 3-0. They've been through a rough patch, but Darlington are heading back up the table.
The Quakers got the perfect start against the league leaders. Cardiff hadn't woken up by the time Glenn Naylor shot Darlington in front with less than a minute on the watch. But the Welshmen aren't on top of Division 3 for nothing. It looked like they'd missed their chance here, but Richard Carpenter surprised everyone by sinking one off the crossbar. After that, the men from the Valleys were always going to be favourites. 7 minutes after the break, they took the lead when John Williams rose highest to nail his header. The clincher's well worth a look. It pinged about in the box a bit before Craig Middleton sorted things out with a spectacular finish. No way back for the Quakers from there. But they did at least get a goal back. Marco Gabbiadini with a very tidy finish, but it seems a long time since Darlington were top of the table. Remember when the Quakers were top of the pile in Division 3? It wasn't that long ago, but now they're in the bottom half as dreams of a promotion campaign disappear by the week. This was a great game though. Tony Richards gave Orient the lead, but Marco Gabbiadini cancelled that out within 5 minutes. But defending hasn't been Darlington's strong point in recent weeks. No one watched the big man here. Dean Smith unmarked to head the Londoners back in front. Even then, the Quakers wouldn't lay down and die. Craig Liddell's first ever league goal was well worked and looks set to reap some rewards. But Dutchman Wim Velscharts finished off a slick passing move for the best of the 5 goals. It was the most important as well. Darla were floundering.
Tale of mystery and intrigue. from Darlington. It's been quite a week for the Quakers. They've hired a private eye to help unmask a villain, and their manager was set to walk out. That's if you believe the rumours. Today they told us the truth.
The boss is staying. David Hodgson was linked with the Scarborough job this week. In fact, he was offered the job by Seasiders chairman John Russell. He'd been given permission to speak to Hodgson by Darlington chairman Bernard Lowery. Mr. Lowery never wanted David to leave, he just thought he was doing the right thing. Confused, so was David Hodgson.
Unfortunately, I think you have to spend a long time in football to understand the rules and the etiquette of football. And sometimes if you don't say it in footballer's terms, and it can be misinterpreted, and it certainly was by me. I think by the fact that John Russell spoke to me, gave me the indication that Darlington Football Club allowed him to, which meant if David wants to go, he can go. And I think that was the bit that hurt me more than anything else, because I think, OK, I'm judged on results, but there's a million other things which have been done right at this football club, and I felt that a decision had been made there without really any thought.
Presumably there was some straight talking's been done, and now it's sorted.
Yeah, I mean, the chairman rang me, I think within sort of half an hour, speaking to John Russell, and said that he didn't want me to leave the football club, which was fine. But as I said, the initial fact that John spoke to me really disheartened me.
Right, so problem solved, or at least that's what you'd think. Unfortunately, the Quakers' problems haven't just been in the manager's office this week. There's been a series of rumours doing the rounds around the town, and the club is so concerned about these that they've taken the unusual step of hiring a private detective to find out who's behind them. And then there's the old problem of the Feetham's pitch. They've had a nightmare with the playing surface, but they insist it will be ready for Saturday's clash with Mansfield. But what of the other business? The rumours about Darlington's financial dealings appeared on the internet. The club plan to name the culprit in Saturday's match programme, and yes, a private eye is on the case.
When the document came out on the internet, it's obviously under an assumed name. We now believe we have the name of the person who sent the document out, and we'll have to deal with it properly.
So hopefully it'll soon all be over. But did David Hodgson ever think of just walking away from this madness? Well, no.
Well, maybe what I'm trying to do is make the football club to the point that there's no more rumours, and there's no more problems off the pitch, and there's a lot of things going right on the pitch. That's what I actually want to do.
And as for the vacancy at Scarborough...
When Mansfield in blue took the lead 10 minutes before half-time, they had no idea what was in store. Steve Harper will be harping on about that goal for quite a while. And for the Stags, life was looking as sweet as the strike. But you know that old cliche about a game of two halves? Well, either there was a magnetic force attracting the ball into that goal, or Dave Hodgson dished out a very decent half-time team talk. Craig Little put Darlow back on terms, just seconds after Mansfield's Ison Christie was sent off. And Peter Duffield, on loan from Falkirk, scored his first goal in England for 6 years from a well-worked free kick. Then Marco Gabbiadini's exceptional strength made it 3-1, all 3 goals in the space of 6 minutes. Gabbiadini with the balance and poise of a ballerina, not the looks though. Gabbiadini's relaunching his career at Feetham's. He scored in the last 3 games and made it 12 this season, just after the hour. Quakers boss Dave Hodgson did Gabbiadini a good turn by giving him a contract in the summer. One good turn deserves another. Portuguese winger Ricardo Costa, who's on trial at Darlow, completed the rout. And the former leaders who had a nightmare end to 98 are now getting back into the swing of things. Darlington 5, Mansfield Town 1.
Weekend action now, and Darlington have been waiting a long time for the chance to play at home, and they certainly made up for it. As the fans were filing into Feetham's, referee Graham Laws was still pondering over the pitch. No second thoughts from Mansfield's Steve Harper when he got into shooting range though. Darlington 1-0 down. But the game turned on this kamikaze challenge by striker Ison Christie, trying his best to leave his mark on keeper David Priest. Christie escaped the lynch mob, but couldn't escape the referee, and Darlington took it out on the 10 men he left behind, smashing in 4 goals in the space of just 10 minutes. Last week, Craig Little got his name on the score sheet for the very first time. This week, he did it again. Next up was Peter Duffield, making his home debut on loan from Falkirk, and making an instant impact with a neat finish at the near post. If Mansfield were staggering by now, 2 more from top scorer Marco Gabbiadini just about finished them off. Great strength for his first goal to make it 3-1. Great touch for his second, giving him 13 for the season. Looking for his first hat-trick in 5 years, Marco was understandably a bit miffed to be taken off near the end, but Portuguese substitute Ricardo Costa carried on the good work with his first English goal. It was Darlington 5, Mansfield 1. The Quakers hitting just the right pitch.
But down in Division 3, there was more than just local pride at stake on Saturday when Hartlepool took on Darlington.
No love lost between these two sides. They've never been the best of neighbours, but Darlington haven't lost on their last 5 visits to Victoria Park and quickly made themselves feel at home. Less than 2 minutes gone and a real striker's finish from Gary Bennett. It's no secret that Scarborough want him as their new boss, but he says he wants to stay at Feetham's, where former Sunderland teammate Marco Gabbiadini is knocking in the goals and really looking the part. The Quakers 2 up inside 20 minutes.
I've had a strange last 18 months before I come to Darlington, and I'm just happy to be playing, and I think that's 14 for the season, so it's my best total for a few years, and double figures again for about the 10th season, so I'm enjoying it at the moment.
Poole finally woke up and almost pulled one back early in the second half through on loan Stuart Elliott. But when Darlington went straight up the other end and made it 3-0 with a header from Peter Duffield, it looked like game over. He certainly thought so on the visitors' bench, and if it was torture for the home fans, it was just as painful for Poole's caretaker boss Brian Honour. But honour was restored with a late rally which almost brought Hartlepool a point. First, Stuart Irvine squeezed a header inside the near post to make it 3-1. Then substitute Tommy Miller followed up his own shot. 9 minutes to go, now it was back to 3-2. Hartlepool had a penalty appeal turned down, and they did go close a couple of times in the dying seconds, but Darlington held on for a derby double. Brian Honour's finding out about management the hard way.
I'm learning from it, you know. I mean, you've got to take the rough with the smooth. Enjoying every minute of it, you know. There's many a worse thing. But if somebody come in tomorrow, you know, I mean, I'd gladly step aside and say all the best and help them all I can, you know. There's no problem with that with me.
As long as Brian Honour's here, as long as I've known him, is that he gets them fired up and fired up they were. Even so much that me and him were at it in between were dugouts. But I understand that, and I understand that all the pool's strengths are being committed to the cause, and that's what they've done today. Anyway, at the end of the day, we've got the 3 points, and that's more important.
Now the night
off to the dream start. By the end, they were desperately holding on. Gary Bennett struck the opening blow as this derby exploded into life after less than 2 minutes. And Darlington were 2 up after 18. Marco Gabbiadini muscled his way into a goal-scoring position, and his angled effort was perfectly placed. They were on course for a first away win in 5 months. Peter Duffield headed their third on the hour mark. You'd have thought it was game over. It certainly should have been, but instead Hartlepool mounted their very own salvage operation, although the odds were stacked against them. Stuart Irvine's header just crept in. And there were anxious looks on that Darlington bench as Tommy Miller scored at the second attempt with just 10 minutes left. 3-2, Darlington held on just.
The toughest opponent Marco Gabbiadini faced all afternoon was the Brighton kit man. He had to wrestle for the match ball in the tunnel after claiming a hat-trick. It was Darlington's day all over. David Priest saved a penalty to keep them ahead, but Marco was the star. His second was trundled in from close range. He might yet be the man to fire the Quakers on a late playoff bid. Brighton are not in the best of form right now, but Peter Smith still knows where the goal is. Unfortunately, it was his own goal. Marco Gabbiadini's young son is now the proud owner of Saturday's match ball. Dad will be hoping there's still a few more to add to the collection.